Arbok the Cobra Pokémon versus Seviper the Fang Snake Pokémon. Welcome everyone, I'm Exceptional and I hope you are too. Today we'll be seeing who can defeat Pokémon FireRed, including the Round 2 Elite Four, the fastest. Yup, the Round 2 Elite Four and the 7 million earthquakes within. In this Battle of the Snakes, we find our competitors on nearly equal footing, with Seviper having a base stat total that's slightly higher, but with the fluctuating growth rate as opposed to Arbok's medium fast. We'll touch more on that later. I'd never actually played with either of these Pokemon until making this video, and I have to say, both surprised me, but in very different ways. I'm gonna be attempting a different format to my usual verses this time, but as is tradition, we have to start by rolling a die to see who plays first. 1 to 10 for Arbok, 11 to 20 for Seviper. Cool, a one-eyed snake? Eyes? It's just a 1. That means I choose you, Arbok! There are further details in the description, but my general rules are, I can only use my starter in battle, no items in trainer battles except for held items, no glitches, exploits, or RNG manipulations, and I don't particularly like accuracy and evasion strategies, so I will tend to avoid them. On top of that, in my versus videos, I start with the Pokemon fully evolved, where applicable, and with the option of a single egg move. I feel it levels the playing field, adding more strategic depth and allowing me more egg excuses to make egg yolks. Arbok gets the better selection of egg moves between the two, however, they still aren't fantastic for a solo playthrough. Beat Up sounded cool in more modern generations. In Gen 3, it's a special move, Arbok's weaker stat, plus it only deals 10 base power typeless damage from each able Pokemon using their attack stat. This is a solo challenge after all, and the rest of my team exists only to support Salazar here. Yes, I love Harry Potter, and today we're representing House Slytherin. The ambition, resourcefulness, determination, and cleverness parts, not so much with the evil. I ended up choosing Poison Fang as we already have a better dark move in Bite, Slam's accuracy makes me shudder, remembering Hypnosis not so long ago, and there are better options than Spite. Poison Fang gives us a decent stab or same type attack bonus attack with a 30% chance of badly poisoning the target until it was changed to 50% in Gen 6. Poison moves also play off of our higher physical attack, which is unboosted by our nature, choosing a neutral hardy nature for the first playthrough. I see Giga Drain on that learn set and felt like it would be useful later, so I wasn't willing to reduce any of our stats. For the early game though, we start with Bite, and that's pretty much all we need for Brock. I don't feel 100% confident in taking him on right away, electing to face Bugcatcher Charlie and his team of 2 Metapods and 1 Caterpie. In combination with Bugcatcher Sammy's mandatory Weedle, that levels us up to 8 before we leave the forest. I'm making a beeline straight to Brock, but I mentioned that I'm doing a different format in this versus video. Instead of cruising through sections with each Pokemon, I'm going to explore both playthroughs gym by gym. So let's pop over to Seviper and its path to Brock. Seviper's stat distribution make it vastly different to play than Arbok. Sporting more attack and an equivalently high special attack means Seviper can potentially be a very good mixed attacker. The difficulty comes with its speed at only base 65. Our defenses aren't particularly spectacular either, so hopefully our attacks will be potent enough to avoid being hit enough, especially in the late game. I've also chosen a neutral nature, hardy again, as I couldn't see a clear stat to buff or reduce in these first playthroughs. I always do 2 playthroughs with every Pokemon that I play. One completely blind to really experience and learn about the Pokemon, and then a second one attempting to optimize the run. I choose the nickname Nagaina from the Jungle Book. It was originally requested that I run Arbok versus Seviper, but it's also been requested that I have Seviper face Zangoose as they are natural rivals, but after checking out Zangoose, I decided it was best to run it in a separate video. Ricky Tikki Tavi will be running next week, still using the versus rules as a follow-up to this video. I just can't leave that question hanging. Seviper's egg moves left a lot to be desired, so I picked Body Slam. This move felt like a bread and butter move back in Generation 1, but I think that this might actually be the first time I'm using it in Gen 3. Go figure. We're starting with 2 Pokemon with base stat totals in the mid-400s, so it's no surprise that we're rolling through the first stage Pokemon of the early game. Nagaina also gains access to Bite, but we're part of the fluctuating growth rate. The fluctuating growth rate is actually the slowest of all to reach level 100 at a whopping 1.64 million experience. Legendary Pokemon with the slow growth rate need only 1.25. The good news is that it's the complete opposite of the erratic growth group. That is to say that in the early levels we level up the fastest, while leveling up much slower beyond level 36. I've defeated the exact same 2 trainers as Salazar, so let's jump into these Brock battles right away. These first playthroughs, after all, are all about taking chances, making mistakes, and getting messy! We're level 10 coming into the battle. Remember that when we jump back to Salazar. Bite, along with all dark moves in this generation, is a special move, so it targets Brock's much weaker special defense. We 2-shot Geodude with room to spare. Onix has the potential to do some decent damage, except for a fun little quirk about the Gen 3 AI. Onix is faster than us, and the AI sees Rock Tomb as a speed control more than a damaging move. As such, despite the fact that it would likely be doing more damage than Tackle and Bind, the AI chooses not to use it. Thank you to everyone in the comments and Premiere chats for teaching me things like this and helping me become a better player. Unsurprisingly, after 3 shots, Onix falls as well, and we claim our first badge while still at half health. Let's see how Salazar handled Brock. Remember how Nagaina challenged Brock at level 10? After clearing the exact same Pokemon, Salazar is only level 8. The second bad thing for Salazar is that we only have 65 base special attack. I do have a correction for the attack stat as well. It should be 85 in Gen 3, not 95. I will have this fixed for the second playthrough. Back to the special attack though, 65 is a heck of a lot lower than Nagaina's 100. And we're a lower level, so we take 4 shots to defeat Geodude, double what it took Nagaina. Once Onix comes out, he's able to do enough damage to take us down for the first reset of the video. I jump right back into the battle, this time getting much better RNG against both Geodude and Onix. This results in a successful battle, and Salazar also claims his first gym badge. I typically pursue the more dependable and consistent strategies in my second playthroughs. After defeating Brock, I was heavily considering my early game grind. With Arbok, I'll test to see if level 10 makes a big enough difference to justify the extra grinding, or if going for that lucky battle at level 8 is the way to go. Nagaina, on the other hand, I played second and may have done some grinding unnecessarily. I do some quick shopping and we set our sights on Mount Moon. On the way through, I make sure to grab the Dome Fossil. I think it's official, everyone. After picking up this Dome Fossil a few times again, I feel like it might be the one for me. Its shape is so smooth and round, almost like a shell. An egg shell, maybe? Oh yeah. We're about to hit Cerulean City, where there's the eternal question of Rival 2 or Misty. I'm feeling Rival 2 as we're only level 15. I've only defeated 1 optional trainer on the way through Mount Moon after all. I'm making sure to grab all of the rare candies along the way as I feel like we're gonna need them for both runs. Oh boy, did I ever. Rival 2 is actually fairly straightforward. One thing that I learned about Salazar is that he's actually fairly resilient. I mean, there are limits, trust me when I say that we meet and exceed those limits a lot later in the run, but for now, the poison typing actually serves us quite well. You may be wondering why I chose the Bulbasaur line, as we resist his grass moves. The reason isn't actually for his ace, but for the team that accompanies it. With Salazar, I plan on sticking primarily to our physical attack, so facing 2 Intimidates later from Gyarados and Arcanine is gonna hurt. This battle goes quite smoothly, so we're moving on right away. Along the next route, I make sure to pull down Camper Flint. This gives us early access to TM43 Secret Power. As a 70 base power normal move, it's a great addition to our current moveset, also boasting a 30% chance for a secondary effect depending on terrain. Most of the time in that run, that's going to be Paralysis. Salazar faces Misty next, so let's check back with Nagaina. Nagaina also brings the dome home. I followed the exact same route as Salazar, including the item collection and 1 additional trainer. Nagaina will also be targeting Rival 2 first, so let's see how much of a difference those extra stats make. It's actually quite a bit. Including being 3 levels higher, it also helps that we're using Body Slam that has a higher effective power than Stab Poison Fang, which Salazar is relying on. Nagaina absolutely carves through Rival 2, then clearing the next route and heading to Misty after rescuing Bill. We enter the battle at level 23, immediately outspeeding and taking out her lead Staryu in 1 shot. The more powerful Starmie enters the fray and I switch to Bite. We're outsped getting hit by a Water Pulse for around a quarter, also getting confused, triggering our held Persimberry. We respond with a critical, super effective Bite that also takes Starmie down in 1. Did that crit matter? Likely, but man, that felt good. Let's see if Salazar has this easy of a time. We open up the battle in much the same way, outspeeding and taking out Staryu immediately with Stab Poison Fang. Starmie is next, and once I see how little our bite did, maybe a third, I switch to Glare to try and paralyze Starmie and cut her consistency. We continue exchanging shots back and forth, with Starmie healing a few times, but we end up defeating her on the first crack, but with only 10 HP remaining after we level up. Salazar is having a more difficult time so far, that's for sure, finishing Misty 3 minutes behind Nagaina. We'll continue following Salazar through the next section of the game as he does one thing a little bit differently. Learning Glare at level 20 definitely helped against Misty, but it also makes catching our HM cheerleaders today much more consistent for Salazar. I won't be catching an army of Meowths with either Pokemon, so for these first runs my hidden power is set to Dark or perfect 31 IVs across the board. I'm going to be changing that in the second run, so keep your eyes peeled and start pondering the HP typings that you think I'm going to use in our second playthroughs. On the SSN, I dipped downstairs with Salazar to grab TM44 Rest. Being the bulkier of the two, I might be able to find some use case for this, but I doubt it with Nagaina. As such, I'll only be grabbing it with Salazar. In both runs, I will be grabbing the Trash Can Berries, and then it's time to face down Rival 3. Compared to Rival 2, his team have now all been evolved into their second stages, but we're at a proportionally higher level to his team than last time. Poison Fang and Secret Power absolutely carve through the Rival's team, finishing the battle in high green health. Let's quickly jump over to Nagaina's Rival 3 battle, as I'm sure you can guess how it went. Honestly, this is the first time that I get to say that Nagaina had a harder time. We missed the one-shot against Pidgeotto getting hit by a sand attack. That then leads to a miss against Kadabra, a nasty disable, and more accuracy loss from Kinesis. I was actually getting quite worried about this battle, but Nagaina's no stranger to fighting in the dust, with our aim staying mostly true and finishing the battle. Our next gym leader is Lieutenant Surge. I have a Cherry Berry equipped just in case, but it shouldn't really matter, especially because of our ability Shed Skin. This gives a 1 in 3 chance every turn to shed a major status ailment, such as paralysis from Surge. His lead Voltorb and Pikachu stand no chance, each getting one-shot by Body Slam. We have a brief exchange with his Ace Raichu, but even with our current early game moveset, Nagaina is doing a lot of damage. We end up paralyzed a second time, but I don't get to show off Shed Skin in this battle. Nagaina claims another easy badge. At only 85 base attack, not 95 like I have it on the current overlay, that changed in Gen 7 actually, and using moves with slightly less base power, Salazar is obviously dealing less damage. I'm starting with Secret Power, but switch to Poison Fang for the slightly higher effective power and chance to poison. Surge does have a full heal and could waste a turn using it. We carve through his Voltorb and Pikachu easily, bringing out the Ace Raichu. And, Salazar decides to go big or go home, sinking his poisonous fangs into Raichu for critical damage, taking him out in one. We claim an easy third badge, and let's take a quick look at how this race is panning out so far. Nagaina's raw power has been enough to take an early lead and widen it at the second badge, but we're about to see a shift in things. Nagaina with the fluctuating growth rate came out of the gate strong, but at level 15 things started to slow down a little. It's at level 36 that Nagaina enters the slowest growth range, and this lasts all the way to level 100. Meanwhile, Salazar's medium-fast growth rate starts to pick up speed at around level 46. As an interesting point, the medium-fast growth rate doesn't actually become faster than the medium-slow growth rate until level 68. Do you think we're going to be leveled that high in these runs? Let me know at what level you predict will finish the Round 2 leagues in the comments for the first runs. I'll let you know that I was dead wrong with my original predictions. I grab my bike and we're off to the mid-game. I'll bring us back over to Nagaina because this mid-game is just plain fun. My first task is grabbing TM27 Return in the gatehouse just south of Lavender. Once we're max friendship with our Pokemon, that's a 102 base power normal option with 20 PP. Swinging around that bigger PP move in the mid-game is invaluable as there are a lot of fodder Pokemon. At level 28, we also learned Crunch, one of my favorite moves introduced in Gen 2. FireRed and Leaf Green are remakes of the original Gen 1 games, where the Dark typing didn't exist. This powerful Dark move, backed by 100 base special attack? Oh yeah, we're gonna have some fun. After the typical welcome to the mid-game chores, we've smashed through the rocket hideout and are targeting Erica next. I'm pretty beat up, but I haven't healed outside of potions since the SS Anne. On the way towards Erica, I make sure to grab the coin case. You may have noticed a certain TM on our learn set that is going to make an invaluable coverage tool later in the game, particularly for steel types which are immune to poison. Nagaina was a tricky one to decide how to EV train. I elected to lean slightly more into our special attack, clearing the trainers on the right-hand side of Erica's gym, but before we check that out, I want to make a quick note with Salazar. In Rock Tunnel, there's a move tutor that can teach Rock Slide down in this section of the cave. This move is incredibly powerful in this generation for physical attackers, as it covers so much in the leagues. The problem is that it's only 90% accurate, and the fact that you can only learn it once. That's why I'm going to bypass it for now. I will be back later with Salazar, but I don't want to jump the gun on learning it. It's the same route as Nagaina, grabbing Return, the T, and Fly, then defeating the Rockets. While down in the hideout, I make sure to grab the black glasses with both Pokemon. Well held, they power up Dark-type moves by 10%, which is useful for Salazar still rocking Bite, but invaluable for Nagaina with Crunch. Let's check out Erica. Against Erica, we're matched up extremely well. The only move that she can use that we don't resist is Constrict on her Tangela. We get hit by an early Stun Spore, so now's going to be the chance to show off Shedskin, finally, right? You may have caught it on the intro screen that Arbok can either have Shedskin or Intimidate as an ability. I chose Shedskin as I feel it's going to have a lot more utility through the run, as status conditions are brutal all the time, whereas a lead's physical attack isn't always. Alright, well 6 turns later, I'm not getting my shot to show off Shedskin as Erica falls. 1/3 chance, yeah right. Take that to the 6th and it's 1 in 729. Maybe with Nagaina? Okay, here we go, fresh battle. We're level 33, now falling behind Salazar in levels at 34 a moment ago. We get our early paralysis, so fingers crossed I can show off Shedskin. It's happened plenty, just not in a battle worth showing. I haven't really discussed our movesets, and Nagaina's is Body Slam, Poison Tail, Crunch, and Return. Quite the solid stat, still relying heavily on our physical attack. Aha, there we go against Tangela, our Shedskin cures the paralysis, awesome! Salazar has an almost identical moveset with slightly less power, sub out Crunch for Bite and Body Slam for secret power. I'm discussing this over Erica of course because she's no issue for either Pokemon. There isn't much she could do against us as the poison type, especially with Shedskin. We claim an easy 4th badge, so let's move on to Pokemon Tower. The Rival 4 battle is usually one that you're over-leveled for when you've experienced this game a time or two. Though this battle isn't of any major concern, these constant rival battles throughout the game are a great way to continue to gauge your strength. We are capable of great damage, almost one-shotting Pidgeotto and taking out Kadabra in one. Gyarados though gives us a little bit of a lesson in humility. Granted, I didn't start the battle at full health, but Gyarados' Thrash hurts. I mean, also, I'm so happy that we're a mixed attacker here, as we're now going to see a double Intimidate in every single rival battle. I'm very happy that his Ivysaur can't do much damage to us, as after a few turns of sleep we wake up and take him down, but that was a little close for comfort. I wouldn't say Nagaina is falling off yet, but we're one level away from hitting the slowest point of our growth rate for the rest of the game. Over in Silph, we get a Shedskin proc on the same turn that this Rocket's Arbok used Glare. It seems that Nagaina brought his A-game today against Arboks in any form. The plan in Silph is to grab all of the high-value items and TMs. Nagaina is going to need some cold, hard cash for my plans, and being that we don't have a setup move, we have to rely on our raw power. Because of this, I want to dial in our EVs with vitamins first, then buy TM35 for 80k. I grab the items, and while we're here, it's always a good idea to challenge Rival 5. I have my doubts, but what the heck, let's give it a shot. I take a moment of careful contemplation while choosing our first move. We lead with Poison Tail for around a third, but Pidgeot responds with a critical Stab Wing attack, taking Nagaina to around 40%. I have bad news, it doesn't get better from there. We can't even one-shot the Alakazam with Crunch, so after a few turns, this one feels a little hopeless. Let's come back later. Our path instead leads us south to Fuchsia City and the Safari Zone. Here I'll be picking up some items, among which are TM11 Sunny Day and the Quick Claw. Sunny Day might allow us a higher damage option with Flamethrower, though I can't see it right now in these first playthroughs. I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Our speed isn't fantastic, so I feel that the Quick Claw might help us out of a sticky situation later, giving a 20% chance to move first in our priority bracket. We won't avoid extreme speeds, but we might avoid an Earthquake. That leaves Nagaina ready to take on Koga, but we don't want to leave Salazar too far behind. Back at Rival 4 in Pokemon Tower, I feel that the dichotomy between the two stakes is really starting to show. Salazar is faster and bulkier, but we don't hit quite as hard. We do hit hard enough though that it doesn't make a significant impact on time. Nagaina almost one-shot Pidgeotto, whereas Salazar only did around half. From a time perspective though, 2 turns is 2 turns. Our bulk really shows itself when we get burned facing his Growlithe. It was at this point that I thought to myself, well, 34 HP left, burned, and 2 intimidates? It's probably over, but let's play it out anyway. I'm sure glad that I did. Things are really coming down to the wire when Ivysaur uses an Overgrow boosted Razor Leaf, taking us to 1 HP. But then Shed Skin kicks in right in time, curing our burn so we don't take that damage. We then outspeed and finish the battle with Bite. Awesome. The mid-games with these two are very similar, so we're once again collecting the high-value items to sell for vitamins. Speaking of, despite mixed attackers being very viable, I felt I had to choose a lane for each Pokemon. Arbok's lane is clear, leaning more into the physical side of things. With moves like Return, Rock Slide, and eventually Earthquake, we have amazing coverage. After the Round 1 League, we also get access to Stab Sludge Bomb, which is going to do work. Salazar will obviously be focusing on proteins, only using the Carbos that I found, and spending the rest of my money on an even split between Iron and Zinc. I don't know which stat is going to be more threatened later. The answer is Defense, so Iron by the way. So many Earthquakes. We're once again taking an early shot at Rival 5, though I have my doubts. That Pidgeot is absolutely loving landing crits, and we take another one. I double-checked with the footage from Nagaina, and we're actually defeated by Rival 5 identically as far into the battle. Nagaina did more damage to Gyarados, but each Pokemon got a single shot in against it before getting taken down. Alright, that's enough of that. I dig out of the building and let's head down to Fuchsia. It's the same route minus Sunny Day and the Quick Claw, so let's challenge our 5th gym leader, Koga. We have a good news, bad news bear situation here. The good news is that Koga can't do much to us. The bad news is that we can't do much to Koga. Particularly after getting hit by too many smoke screens, which Koffing so kindly opened with. Our already reduced accuracy combined with Muck's bulk and love of minimize takes us down another slow path to defeat. It looks like we're about to finish him, but then Koga heals, dashing our hopes. We get taken out shortly after. I feel so sorry for Koffing, check this one out. I've wiped again and this time Koga opens with Smokescreen, causing us to miss our second attack. That results in Koffing doing the best thing that he could have in this situation and blowing up. Poor Koffing. This leaves us at 37 health, which turns out to be not enough for Muck, let alone his other 2 Pokemon as well. I hate to admit it, but we've got to do some grinding. After clearing the Fighting Dojo and the north end of Cycling Road, we're trying again at level 45 over 2 damage rounding thresholds. As it turns out, I didn't need more levels for this battle, I just needed to crit the Muck. With Muck out of the way, I can smash through his second Koffing and Ace Wheezing. I should note that I did not teach Dig for this fight, which may prove useful for Muck if he's a problem in the second playthrough, but it's super unfortunate that we couldn't use it against the Koffing line because of Levitate. I bet Nagaina handles Koga a bit better though. Oh yeah, bud. Way better. Nagaina using Black Glass's boosted Crunch eats Koga for dinner. One-shotting the Koffings removes most of the accuracy worries in this battle. Generally, if you can one-shot Koffing, you can handle Muck before he gets too set up with Minimize. That's the case in this battle, with the second Koffing also being one-shot and his Ace Wheezing falling in 2 with the special defense drop. That's 5 badges, so let's try our luck back at Silph. With those couple of extra levels under our belts, let's see if Rival 5 has changed much. The short answer is, kind of? Without the crit from Pidgeot and that slightly higher amount of damage that we're now dealing, we're working our way through his team relatively well until things take a nasty turn. Gyarados hits Dragon Rage for 40 damage and Alakazam's Future Sight hits for a further 38 on the same turn. We went from feeling comfortable to hovering in low red health. We miss the one-shot against Growlithe and get taken down for our second reset. I make another attempt immediately, making it to Growlithe with better health. He takes us back into Red Bar, but with a stunningly good turn of events against Venusaur, we will be victorious. Crunch isn't doing much, but we get a turn 1 special defense drop as Venusaur puts us to sleep. Shedskin cures us immediately, and we hit a critical crunch against the -1 Venusaur, taking him out. Okay, lucky? Yes. Must review before next run? Absolutely. We can now clean up the rockets and target our 6th badge at Sabrina, so let's catch Salazar back up. Salazar has done a bit of additional grinding, so we're at level 45 instead of 42. We start off making some decent progress against Rival 5's team, but now that we're facing some fully evolved Pokemon, our damage is really starting to fall off. It took 3 shots to deal with Pidgeot, but Gyarados is going to be the big problem. We come into him at 107 health, around 85%. It takes 5 turns to defeat him, while he works us down to 5 health, around 4% of our max, and we still have Growlithe and Venusaur in the back. Yeah, no. I was using Bite a lot in the previous battle, particularly against Gyarados, as I was hoping for flinches and worried that after that first Intimidate, our attack would be too trashed. That was incorrect. Return is doing more damage, taking Gyarados out in 3 this time. Once he's defeated, the Growlithe and Venusaur in the back aren't much of an issue. That double Intimidate is only going to continue getting worse as we transition further and further away from using Bite. Generally, the only reason I wipe to the rockets is Poison, which we're not worried about today, so let's challenge our next gym leader, Sabrina. Salazar makes a beeline straight to Sabrina. We have a perceived disadvantage here, but we have a lot more working in our favor than against us. We're weak to the Psychic type, and I'm betting that any of her Pokemon could mess us up if given the opportunity. The thing is, we're faster and our physical strength is more than these frail Psychic types can handle. Return clears her team handily, missing the one-shot against Venomoth, but all she did was 30 damage with Psybeam. Game over, Sabrina. I'll take that Marsh badge, please. Nagaina also comes straight to Sabrina, skipping the trainers in her gym. They would be an excellent place to get special attack EVs, but in my first playthroughs I try to grind as little as possible, trying to determine what's possible with a Pokemon before pursuing what's optimal. Nagaina carves through most of her team with Body Slam, though if I'd used Return, I wouldn't have missed the one-shot against Mr. Mime. It's the exact same story with Venomoth as Salazar, except we got confused instead of taking damage, still finishing the battle shortly after. So I mentioned how things were going to start shifting more in Salazar's favor as the game progressed. Instead, we're seeing a completely different story in the splits as Nagaina continues to gain time over Salazar, now 9.5 minutes ahead. I feel this continues to hammer in the difference between these two. Nagaina's lower speed hasn't been an issue yet, but being able to knock out opponents more effectively has continued to push Nagaina ahead. Things are going to shift, but Nagaina still has some serious momentum. Our next bit of progression is on Cinnabar Island. This is where both Pokemon are going to start really falling off. We'll be facing more challenging trainers, now with more and more fully evolved Pokemon. Nothing really of note happens in either playthrough as I aim straight for Blaine, easily one of the most challenging battles we've faced to this point. Both Pokemon have their own respective advantages and disadvantages in this battle. Nagaina is slower and less defensive, so we're going to be taking hits a lot harder. But we also hit harder and can rely on our special attack more as both Blaine's Growlithe and Arcanine will be hitting Intimidate, lowering our attack. We're doing good damage, of that there's no doubt, but we're also getting incredibly lucky with Fire Blast misses. Once the original Fire Doggo enters the battle, he hits with a Fire Blast and it's quite clear that we're outgunned. After observing the shortcomings of his teammates, Arcanine breads and deep fries Nagaina. Tastes like chicken. Ew, actually, why did I say that? I would never eat poor Nagaina. That's Ricky's job next week. With how definitive that wipe felt, I did, for the first time with Nagaina, some extra grinding in the area. Blaine's gym is full of speed EVs, decent XP, and cash after all, and we need it all. We remain a little lucky with Fire Blast misses, but ending the battle at 104 health, I feel like this was a decent outcome. I might come back at level 50 to one-shot the Ponyta, but that's about the only change I can see here. Let's check out Salazar's physical attack against another double Intimidate team. We start the battle at a slightly higher level than Nagaina, leveling up to 50 once the Ponyta falls. We're seeing a very similar story to Nagaina, where we're doing good damage but not enough to one-shot things, opening us up to more risk. The good news is that we're faster and have better bulk, so we do tank Fire Blast better. That's not to say super well though, as entering as Ace Arcanine at 15 health was not a scenario that played out in my favor. Okay, that honestly didn't feel too bad. We have some other options to increase our damage here, so I leave running over to Celadon City to buy Dig. My original copy of this went to Meowth, as Dig has a lot of utility for saving time as you progress through the plot. It's super effective against fire types, so with an effective power of 120, it's now our strongest move against Blaine. We're able to one-shot his Growlithe and Ponyta, dealing great damage to Rapidash, but it's still not quite enough as Arcanine sears us once again. After some more wipes, it's off to Rock Tunnel to grab Rock Slide. We now have a move with an effective power of 150, but only 90% accuracy, which is why I haven't picked it up to this point. I replaced Dig right away. That didn't last long. We can buy it again for cheap if we really need it. It makes a difference with the damage ranges, sure, but the big change comes with the Fire Blast mist from Arcanine, followed by a crit from us. Huh, well, that's that then. Let's move on, right? Well, not quite. See, the thing is that Nagaina isn't done with Blaine. Huh? That doesn't make sense. We've already defeated him, right? There's the badge on the overlay and everything. While clearing the bikers on 3 Island though, their leader's Weezing decides to make a boomer on me. A big boomer. A boomer that reminded me that we hadn't saved since before the Blaine battle. Well, let's clean him up again. Despite the fact that it does hurt a little bit losing an already narrow victory, I'm really glad that this happened in the first playthrough. It quickly reveals just how lucky we were against Blaine, as a single Fire Blast from both his Rapidash followed by Arcanine is more than enough to finish us off. We jump ahead nearly 12 minutes and 7 resets. This is the last time that I'm going to show Blaine, I promise, as we have bigger fish to fry, but Nagaina has also had to now go grind, now entering the battle at level 53. I've also swung over to Celadon to grab Dig, now using that higher effective power to try and tilt the odds back in our favor. It's by no means a straightforward battle, as we win it by critical hit against Arcanine once again. This battle is going to be a good point to hinge my XP routing off in the next playthroughs. I'll make this victory Nagaina's official Blaine split as I chuck down a save because I do not want to play with Blaine anymore. We're then back off to the Sevi Islands to finish off the first part of that plotline. It isn't required for the Round 1 League, but doing it now gives us some extra XP and avoids backtracking later as we have a Round 2 finish in mind. Nagaina's nasty resets aren't done yet either. In the final gym in Viridian City, while clearing the 2 mandatory trainers, we're given some serious foreshadowing for the Round 2 League ahead of us. We are weak to ground moves, and there are a lot of them in our future. We actually take a reset to Cool Trainer Warren that sends us back all the way to that Chucklehead with the Explodey Weezing. This guy is the new main antagonist of this run, oh my goodness. That's all of the excitement that exists between the 7th and 8th badges though, so let's wrap up the gym challenge. Giovanni is gonna be a bit of a problem. Sure, we can attack with our special stat, working through his first 2 Pokemon quite easily. Then Nidoqueen shows up, tanking the hit with room to spare, and hits a critical, stab, super effective Earthquake, taking us from full to only 7 HP, around 4%. The King's Queen then cleans us up. Welcome to the start of what I'm unofficially dubbing the Earthquake section of the game. Nidoqueen did crit there though, so with her doing double damage there, half that, hope that it was a high range. Nidoking has more attack, so he'll do slightly more damage. Let's see, carry the 4. Yeah, we survived Nidoqueen's Earthquake at 1 HP. Totally calculated and on purpose. Mostly. With the Nidos out of the picture, we clean up Rhyhorn with ease, but oof, that was way closer than I would have liked. Let's finish off this gym challenge. Once again, we find ourselves in a good news, bad news bear situation. Our best move against Rhyhorn is Bite, which we've been carrying since the lab battle. Unsurprisingly, it falls slightly short, opening us up to a scary face. Once we're slower, we get outspeed and picked apart by 3 more Earthquakes. That's the bad news. The good news is that we aren't done exploring our other options. I'm again holding on to those options with white knuckles apparently, as I elect to go grind a bit more, starting with the trainers in Giovanni's gym for the XP density, then going back to Cycling Road to level us up to 58 over the next damage rounding threshold. But this still doesn't appear to be enough, as we get taken down once again by Nidoking's follow-up Earthquake. I finally bite the bullet, teaching Giga Drain over Bite, not Glare? Why did I keep Glare so long? This recovers us back to full, defeating the Dugtrio, so now coming into the Nidos at full health, we have enough HP to tank both EQs and take them down. His Ace Rhyhorn, Ace Rhyhorn, that's always gonna be funny, then gets taken out with another Giga Drain, healing us back into green bar. Cool beans, that's 8 badges. There's one last challenge for our competitors before the league, Rival 6. We're almost up to level 60, so this rival battle should go reasonably well for Salazar. We're not quite getting one-shots against everything, but we're working our way through his team reasonably well. We then encounter his Ace Venusaur. This is why I kept Glare for so long. It helps to cut down on his consistency, as after 2 Intimidates, our damage output is feeling, well, lacking to say the least. It takes a whole bunch of turns, but we finally take down Venusaur and we are off to the league. Salazar enters the league doors at 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 22 seconds. Nagaina enters the Rival 6 battle at only level 55, 4 beneath where Salazar is at this point. Once again, things seem to be going reasonably well until we're outsped and hit by Stab's super effective Psychic from Alakazam, dealing 136 damage. Right then, with 4 Pokemon in the back, what say we just tick that reset counter real quick? For the sake of brevity, I'm jumping ahead again, 2 resets and about 6 minutes. I've gone off to do some grinding, now battling at level 58. Now that we outspeed the Alakazam, we see a much different battle unfold. We one-shot most of his team, taking a bunch of time once again against Venusaur. At least with Nagaina though, I can see an option opening up for Venusaur soon. But not quite yet, I want to try the league without it first. Nagaina enters the league doors at 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 12 seconds. Incredibly, as we enter the league despite all of the fluctuations and the almost 10-minute lead that Nagaina had throughout the mid-game, we're entering the league with almost identical footing. Salazar is just shy of 2 levels higher and 10 seconds slower. The 2 leagues are where everything gets decided though, so let's jump in. Lorelei is the Ice-type trainer, so of course most of her team is full of bulky water Pokemon. Dugong takes us 3 hits to take down, also bringing us down to half health in the process. Not an auspicious start, but Nagaina then works through the next few Pokemon, taking some damage along the way, but not feeling especially threatened. Slowbro did use Yawn on us though, so once Lapras enters the battle, we fall asleep and it's all over Red Rover. So there's a lot of material to cover in these first playthroughs, so get ready for some big time skips in the leagues. Oh hi there, we missed you. You're rejoining us with 4 more resets and around 10 more minutes on the timer. I've left the league to do some more grinding, leveling up to 63 over 2 damage rounding thresholds. The battle progresses in much the same way, with us relying primarily on Crunch to carry us through. Crunch is just great. At this level we can 2-shot Dugong, and that causes a big swing in the damage that we take. At level 63 we now also outspeed Jinx, who would take us out when we made it that far. In these first playthroughs as well, I'm also going to be covering the Round 1 leagues simultaneously, as it's in the Round 2 leagues where the excitement truly lies. Salazar's moveset differs, but not by a huge amount. We're rocking Return, Giga Drain, Rock Slide, and Glare. Salazar's more physical inclination and access to Rock Slide, I'm hoping, will make things a little bit easier for him. Rock Slide will hit her entire team except Slowbro for super effective damage, and I cycle in the occasional Giga Drain for some recovery. Despite that though, every turn that passes, we watch our health drop a little bit lower until we're taken out. 3 resets and 7 minutes later, I've left to do some grinding and come back into the battle, also at level 63, mirroring Nagaina. At this level, we have better ranges, including with Return, which I can now mix in to avoid using the 90% accurate Rock Slide a bit more. This is by no means perfect, but we now find ourselves with enough raw strength to finish off Lorelei's team. So, let's move on to Bruno. Lorelei felt very much like the gatekeeper to the leagues for both Pokemon. Salazar may not be as gifted of a special attacker, but Giga Drain provides a lot of utility. Both of Bruno's Onyxuses fall to a single shot eat. The Hitmons we cannot one-shot, which after defeating Hitmonchan exposes us to a crit Mega Kick from Hitmonlee. What are going on with these crits this run? His Ace Machamp is last, hitting Rock Tomb, so we're now at -2 speed after Hitmonchan's, and then outspeeding and finishing us with Cross Chop. Jumping ahead another 6 minutes, I've left to do more grinding. I started this league at level 65, challenging Bruno at 66. It isn't my usual style to leave and grind a whole bunch. I tend to use rare candies instead. But I have a sneaking suspicion that with base stat totals in the mid 400s and no super cheesy strategies to fall back on, I'm gonna want those candies later. Nagaina is still rocking a moveset of Return, Crunch, Giga Drain, and Dig. Nagaina used more Giga Drains against Lorelei, so I have to resort to using Crunch against the Onyxuses, but it doesn't quite have the damage output for an Oko or one-hit knockout. To me, it's been really interesting editing these leagues simultaneously because this first battle is once again incredibly similar to Salazar's. We make it to Machamp, but the damage finally overwhelms us. Jumping right back in though, I've used an Ether to restore our Giga Drains. Using them, I avoided a bunch of damage from the Onyxuses, and with Hitmonlee not getting a crit, we face Machamp with much better health. We exchange a few turns back and forth, but with our poison typing resisting his fighting moves, Machamp struggles a bit more against us when we have more health. Nagaina takes him down, and we set our eyes on League member number 3, Agatha. I have one thing to say about Nagaina in this battle. Crunch. Her ghosts will be taking super effective damage, and I get to see where my speed is at roughly. We outspeed her lead Gengar, but are outsped by her ace Gengar, meaning that we're somewhere between 126 and 150 speed. I could check it, but that takes time. Oh, we outspeed Golbat too, make that 129 and 150. Narrowing it down already. Against Arbok though, we hit a bit of a hiccup. She leads with Screech, lowering our defense by 2 stages, and then hits 2 consecutive Iron Tails in a row like they aren't 75% accurate or anything. We take another reset. In the next attempt, absolutely nothing changes. I simply hit better damage ranges against her Arbok, so it seems that a 2-shot was possible after all. Agatha can be nasty in round 1, but it's her round 2 team that gets a bunch of Psychics added in as well. That entire round 2 league is going to be very dangerous. We'll get there though, let's change back to Salazar. Once again, we find ourselves in an advantage-disadvantage situation between the snakes. Salazar, relying more on physical attacks, will target Agatha's weaker physical defense. We also have Rock Slide, which, like I mentioned earlier, helps a lot in both leagues. The problem is, though, that Rock Slide is our only viable option against her ghosts. We make it to her Ace Gengar at full health, but then a problem reveals itself. We're flat out of PP. Well, let's reset and try that one again. After an Ether for Rock Slide, we're back at her lead Gengar, but at under half health this time after taking some hits from the first 2. This time she puts us to sleep, sending us into a nightmare, and we fall again. This was actually bad enough that I had to leave the league to train again. 4 resets and 7 minutes later, we're back at level 70 over 2 damage rounding thresholds. This gives us better ranges against the first 4 Pokemon and a bit more survivability, sure, but funnily enough, it's her Arbok that determines this battle. By the time we got here, we were usually quite battered, but leveling up to 70 gave us that little extra that we needed. For like the 18th time in this run though, it turns out that all we needed was a crit against Arbok. Well, that was easy. On to Lance. You'll never guess what. Good news, bad news bears again. Rock Slide gives us super effective option against the Dragon Master's team of flying Pokemon. The problem lies in the fact that he leads with Gyarados, so there's absolutely no way of avoiding being at -1 attack in this battle. As such, we're just shy of hitting a few ranges and low on Rock Slides again, so we take another reset. 4 resets and 8 rare candies later, I'm a bit fed up of leaving to grind at every member, so let's just go for it. Finally, at level 78, over 3 more damage rounding thresholds, we're able to get the ranges that we needed here. It was mostly about getting that lead Gyarados down in 2, and about avoiding Scary Face from Aerodactyl. Moving before his Ace Dragonite is critical to succeeding here. Let's check back with Nagaina before we challenge the round 1 champion. Nagaina struggled against Lance as well, incurring a total of 11 resets and around 7 minutes of lost time. It's all about those damage ranges. Being able to knock them out before they knock us out seems to be the way to do things. Shocker, I know. At level 75, we just missed the 2-shot range against his Ace Dragonite, leaving him at like a pixel of health. That leads to things getting incredibly hairy against his final Dragonair, who uses Hyper Beam, but Nagaina clings on with 1 HP. We can then finish the battle. Now, with the Elite Four defeated, let's move into our final challenge in round 1, the champion. Because of how over-leveled we needed to be in order to get past Lance, we're having a relatively easy time at the start of this battle. 2 crunches for Pidgeot and a single return for Alakazam, with a Giga Drain for Rhydon recovering the little bit of health we've lost so far. Gyarados continues to be a problem, dealing some massive damage over a few turns, so I switched to Giga Drain for recovery. We take him down back at around 3/4 health. Arcanine is out, intimidating again, so I think we're now all in with our special attack. Especially if he burns us, dropping our attack even further, but worse, adding more damage to us every turn. His Ace Venusaur is last, but we only have 25 health. Oh man, Crunch is doing around half and Venusaur soaks up the sunlight. This could be it, but Shed Skin also cures the burn, could it be? I go for Crunch and nope. We leave Venusaur in red bar while Stab, Overgrow boosted Solar Beam, overkills us. In the very next attempt, we see a different scenario play out against Arcanine. He gets a crit, but we made it here with higher HP and he didn't get the burn this time. This improves our odds dramatically against Venusaur, and so does my other little addition. Dig has been utterly useless since Blaine, so I taught Flamethrower over it. I didn't mention picking it up, but surprise! We take down Venusaur without taking another hit. At least I can say that that champion battle wasn't too much trouble for us. The Round 1 League as a whole, though, felt very hard won. Nagaina clocks in with a Round 1 time of 1 hour, 47 minutes, and 59 seconds at level 75 with 34 resets. This took 5 hours and 24 minutes of game time. Salazar enters the champion battle 3 levels higher. Super effective Rock Slide just barely misses the one-shot against Pidgeot, exposing us to the last thing that I wanted to see, Sand Attack. Ruh-roh. I take him down, then Alakazam with Return and Rhydon with Giga Drain. Against Gyarados, Rock Slide continues to pay dividends as we take him out in 2 despite the Intimidate. Arcanine is out, taking us to -2 attack and eventually 0 HP as we run out of Rock Slides and Return just won't cut it. 7 resets, and 8 minutes later, I was regretful of using so many rare candies already, once again leaving the league to do a little grinding. Pidgeot ruins this battle between Sand Attack and Feather Dance. Even at our higher level, we still can't one-shot him, so while I was out of the league, I made one extra stop, teaching good old Substitute. It will block those status moves from hitting us, and after a bit of musical chairs from the champion, we defeated the first 3 Pokemon with our stats intact. I should have resubbed against Pidgeot though, as Gyarados intimidates us. It turns out our decoy can survive a single Hydro Pump, so I establish a new one, taking out Gyarados with 2 Rock Slides. We then avoid Arcanine's Intimidate, taking him out in 2 as well while he breaks our decoy. We're still not doing spectacular damage against his Ace Venusaur, but in Round 1 he really doesn't have much to threaten us with. After a whole bunch of healing from him, we're saved once again by a crit, with Return ending the battle. Just like Nagaina, this Round 1 League felt incredibly hard won, and I want to impress upon all of you just how much more difficult the Round 2 League is, particularly for a Poison type. Salazar clocks in with a Round 1 time of 2 hours, 1 minute, and 26 seconds at level 82 with 36 resets. This took 6 hours and 11 minutes of game time. I finish off each of their individual Sevi Island plotlines, unlocking the Round 2 League. At the end of Round 1, Nagaina has reclaimed the lead by quite a margin, now leading by around 13.5 minutes. Okay, for the 3rd time now, I'm mentioning that shift in power. Nagaina's main asset that's given so much speed thus far is the ability to take down opponents quickly, but that ability, along with the difficulty of continuing to level up, is becoming more and more difficult by the minute for Nagaina. Salazar, on the other hand, may not be able to put out as much damage, but can take more of a hit and is naturally faster. I will no longer be covering these battles individually, instead we'll now watch each Pokemon progress through their respective leagues. Along with some team and moveset changes, all teams in the Round 2 League have been powered up by around 12 levels. Let's jump in. With our medium-fast growth rate, Salazar has leveled up a few times through the Sevi Islands. We're now level 85, leading off against Lorelei. Our primary move against her remains Rock Slide, just barely missing the one-shot against Dugong, so I switch to Return for the higher accuracy. We are, after all, 20 levels over-leveled here, so we're progressing through the battle well enough until her Piloswine enters the battle. Welcome to the first encounter with Earthquake in this league. Giga Drain does about 2/3 to him, but he fires back a critical, stab, super effective Earthquake, ending the battle. That was a crit, mind you, so I jump right back into things. Surely we'll survive a non-crit, but we don't find out again as this time we score the critical, taking him down. Cloyster is then an easy cleanup in the back, especially because in round 2 it no longer knows Protect, aka the PP Waster Aware. Next is Bruno. The biggest change with round 2 Bruno is that his Onyxuses are now Steelixuses. They're far more threatening and challenging to deal with. Giga Drain isn't doing much against his lead, in fact, nothing that we're currently using is doing much against him. I'm setting up decoys as necessary to keep our speed intact and him going for Rock Tombs. In fact, the battle is going quite well until Machamp reminds us that Earthquakes hurt. A lot. It's more bad news against his second Steelix, as we're pretty much tapped out of power points. With Return doing next to nothing, Steelix brings us down with, you guessed it, Earthquake. 4 resets, and as many minutes later, I've made a couple of changes. First, I've used 3 rare candies, taking us to level 88 over the next damage rounding threshold. Giga Drain has felt like it's been falling off for a while now, and doesn't have much use in this league for us. I replace it with TM26 Earthquake, one of my favorite moves of all time. Following the same strategy of keeping up a decoy to avoid speed drops, Earthquake significantly increases our damage output against Steelix. I even upgraded against his other Pokemon, teaching TM38 Sludge Bomb from the Rocket Warehouse on 5 Islands, over Return. With Stab, this move hits for an effective power of 135, much higher than the 102 of Return. These changes result in us finishing the battle at full health. Easy. Alright, it's Agatha time. Agatha's round 2 team's biggest threat to us is that she now has a bunch of Psychics spread out on her movesets. Also, Arbok knows Earthquake, because of course it does. This battle though at level 88 isn't too difficult for us. It's pretty much a matter of spam Rock Slide and hope not to miss. I flinch her lead, which was nice, but I even feel like if we were hit by it, we would have survived with the recovery from leftovers. I always grab the leftovers between leagues, as for a solo Pokemon, this held item is incredibly valuable, healing us for 1/16 of our health every turn. I did switch to an EQ of our own against her Arbok, but that about summarizes this battle. Next is the Dragon Doctoral. Round 2 Lance's lead Gyarados' entire purpose in life is to paralyze you. With Shedskin, this is the first time that I think I've said that I don't mind it too much. But we also have Substitute, so let him try to paralyze our decoy while we avoid the damage. This battle is a matter of Rock Slides and Sludge Bombs taking out his Pokemon. The recovery from leftovers allows us the survivability to tank the hits we're taking from Lance. There are 3 Earthquake users on his team though, and that Ace Dragonite hurts plenty even without it. We defeat Lance for another first try victory, and we're already at the round 2 champion. Heracross knows Earthquake, so I can't get a sub established here, as I feel he's going to go for it most of the time. I take him out with 2 Sludge Bombs, but we're already at half health. Leftovers continue to help us recover that damage, taking out Alakazam, whose stab super effective Psychic would ruin our day. That means that when we get to Gyarados, we soak the first Intimidate because there hasn't been an opportunity for a decoy. You'll never guess what Gyarados has on his moveset. Oh yeah, we're not quite doing the damage that we need to after that Intimidate, so after setting up a Dragon Dance and taking out our decoy, he removes Salazar from the battle with another Earthquake. Alright, I think I see something else here. As I mentioned earlier, the AI sees Rock Tomb as a speed control, and since we're reasonably fast, I feel like Heracross might go for it more frequently than I initially thought. Turns out I'm right, as I put up a new decoy after he broke the first one and make it back to Gyarados, avoiding the Intimidate. Rock Slide is doing significantly more damage with our attack intact. I keep using it all the way through until Venusaur, finally realizing the folly of my ways and switching to Earthquake for more damage. P.S. Venusaur also knows Earthquake, that's going to be important in a minute. He falls, bringing out Tyranitar, who whips up a Sandstorm, nullifying the recovery from our leftovers. Our Earthquake misses the one-shot, while his almost takes us out. That's right, another Earthquake user. He heals, but we eventually take him down, bringing out Arcanine last. All I could think to myself here was, there's no way. Especially when Earthquake misses the Oko against Arcanine, but then something beautiful happens. It seems that we're out of extreme speed range, but in Iron Tail range. He chooses to use the 75% accurate Iron Tail instead of something like Overheat, missing, and we take him down on the next turn. There goes the battle. I do recognize that champion battle was lucky at the end there, but I feel like I've learned what I needed to from this first playthrough. But I haven't even experienced the true pain yet. Salazar clocks in with a round 2 time of 2 hours, 22 minutes, and 38 seconds at level 90 with 42 resets. This took 7 hours and 11 minutes of game time. Now let's jump back and check out Nagaina's round 2. I've also updated Nagaina's moveset for the Round 2 League. Learning what I did from Arbok, I've already taught Sludge Bomb over Return. We're coming in at level 77 as opposed to Salazar's 85. That fluctuating growth rate is really starting to slow us down. We're progressing through the battle well enough, but then miss the 2-shot against Lapras, getting taken down. Things repeat themselves against her, but this time we survive the second Psychic from Lapras, clinging on at 8 HP. Leftovers heal us as the poison takes down Lapras, and we're facing down Piloswine at 22 HP. Not to worry though, as 2 Giga Drains clean up Lorelei and recover us to nearly full health. Okay, that was decent. Let's check out Bruno. Bruno poses a much easier battle for Nagaina as well. With Flamethrower on our side, his Steelixes stand no chance. Nagaina's current moveset is Sludge Bomb, Crunch, Giga Drain, and Flamethrower. That's about as diverse of a moveset as I've run with, using Sludge Bomb to hit the fighting types. I can't one-shot Machamp, but barring a crit, he can't one-shot us either. Hitmonchan ends up surviving Sludge Bomb, but is probably Bruno's least threatening Pokemon for us, taking him down in the end. Next on the chopping block is Agatha. My strategy with Nagaina ends up being much the same as round 1. Crunch. The problem that I'm finding here is that our damage output is just lacking enough that we're opening ourselves up to a lot of additional damage. That crit against Arbok sure helped, but once her lead Gengar is out, we can't one-shot it and things go downhill quickly. And reset. Well, that's a simple enough solution, right? 2 rare candies and 1 damage rounding threshold later, I've brought us back in at Misdreavus, who we now one-shot. Speaking of Misdreavus, it was pointed out last week in the premiere chat that I've spelled Misdreavus wrong in my round 2 Agatha intro. There's no O. It's now on the list of things to fix. Thank you all for pointing things like this out to me and helping me make the best content that I possibly can. Crunch also one-shot her ace, and that's the tip in the scales that we needed. Crobat does some damage as well, falling in 2 more. That's 3 down. We have Lance and the champion to go. At the end of Salazar's playthrough, I mentioned that I hadn't experienced the real pain yet. This league so far has been an absolute wash, so what gives, me? Well, you see, the next 2 teams are littered with earthquakes, and we don't have great defense. Instead of spending the next 4 hours editing this battle alone, let's note what's going on right now. At level 80, it's a challenge to get by the Gyarados alone. On our 3rd wipe to Lance, we'll increment the reset counter up to 40 with around 2 hours and 4 minutes on the clock. And skip! Welcome back. You've missed out on around 33 resets and around 37 minutes of pain, resetting, pain, grinding, pain, grinding, pain. I'm sure you get it. Lance is way more challenging than I initially gave him credit for. I've been sitting here at the cusp of level 90 for quite a while, thinking to myself, surely this is enough. It wasn't, so I've also cheated. I mentioned earlier that I chose HP Dark, but after reset 70, I dropped Nagaina into my software, editing our stats and giving us HP Ice, teaching Hidden Power over Giga Drain. Despite all of that time investment and cheating in an alternate move, this battle is far from secured. Check out all of that damage that we're still taking, and I haven't been able to think of a single way to avoid it. We finally take down round 2 Lance, but there's more bad news. The worst part is that despite how challenging this battle was, the round 2 champion is even more so. Let's check it out. Attempt 1, I go for Sludge Bomb instead of Flamethrower, missing the one-shot. Heracross responds with a critical, super effective Earthquake. Well, so much for that one. With correct move choices, this battle is actually looking quite straightforward. Check this out. The champion's Pokemon are dropping like flies to Nagaina's incredibly diverse move pool, with the Ace Venusaur even being so kind as to set up Sunlight for us, boosting our Flamethrowers. Tyranitar enters the battle, introducing a myriad of problems. Problem 1, Sandstorm cancels out our recovery from leftovers. Problem 2 is that HP Ice seems to be our best move choice here, and with a crit, we deal around 2/3. Problem 3. Tyranitar's Earthquake hits us for about the same, but without the crit. Oh, just kidding, HP Ice was doing under 1/3 as T-Tar survives and takes us down. Brace yourselves for another time jump. By attempt 47, I've made some changes. We're now at 120 resets, once again breaking my reset counter slightly and approaching the 3.5 hour mark. I've also left the league and come back a few times, leveling up that painfully slow fluctuating growth rate all the way to 100 by grinding against the league. And there's more bad news. This is not my first attempt at level 100 either. This battle is still not great for us. Heracross and Alakazam go away easily enough, but Gyarados is still a massive pain. I've replaced Sludge Bomb with Earthquake, but Crunch is, let's say, less than ideal against Gyarados, taking 3 shots to bring him down ideally. At only +1, his Earthquake did well over half, so you can imagine how many of those have knocked me out. The champ makes a weird move here, switching to Tyranitar. There goes our leftovers, and by some miracle, we get a crit here. 1 Earthquake is not enough for Tyranitar usually, though 2 would have been. This crit saved us, as we would not have survived his EQ. The rest of the battle is fairly straightforward. I was hoping that Venusaur might set up the sun for us, but we don't give him the chance, taking him out immediately with Flamethrower. Arcanine 2 cannot be discounted, as his Overheat and Extreme Speed have both caused several resets through the last 40 minutes. A wave of catharsis washes over me as I see that final sprite fall down. Nagaina has done it. I'm gonna go out on a limb here, but I'm pretty sure we know who's taking the first leg of the race today. This league was brutal. My eggs were so scrambled that I even had the wrong overlay up for this. I realize it right about now. Wait, now? Nagaina clocks in with a round 2 time of 3 hours, 25 minutes, and 37 seconds at level 100 with 120 resets. This took 8 hours and 1 minute of game time. We'll start with Arbok, as this was a lot easier of a run to solve. I'm going to be skipping a lot in these second playthroughs, only discussing the changes that I made. For starters, I've decided to lean even harder into our physical attack, changing into an adamant nature, increasing attack and decreasing special attack. I also, as always, change our name to be a single character, as this does save a little bit of time over a run. Plus, it's fun to play first-person Pokemon. I used Poison Fang. I is confused. Hahaha. Oh, I spend too much time staring at this footage, and I have to keep myself entertained. The only other change to Arbok's early game is defeating 2 more trainers in Viridian Forest, so with that, including a wild Caterpie on the way out, we level up to 10, which gave us a much more consistent Brock battle. Level 10 gives us the 3-shot against Geodude and a chance to 4-shot his Onix, though we don't see that in this battle. It was a little surprising, but the 2 extra levels actually made a big difference. Also, I want you to start thinking about which HP typing you feel I chose for these second playthroughs. Remember that near the end of Seviper's run, I did cheat HP Ice onto myself to get past Lance, while Arbok cleared the game without using Hidden Power at all. In Mount Moon, we're going to be choosing the... Oh, wait, hold on. Repel just ran out. That's a bit embarrassing. We're going to be choosing the Dome Fossil. It's just too egg-like, everyone. I need to grab it. I defeat Rival 2, Misty for our second badge, Rival 3 on the SSN, and then Lieutenant Surge netting our third badge. It all went exactly like the first playthrough, gaining time against Brock and Misty, but then falling 30 seconds behind at Lieutenant Surge because we took the time to catch our army of Meowths. I'll give you a hint for Arbok's HP typing. I've been encouraged in the comments and Premier chats to choose this typing on physical attackers with similar coverage. I think I've only used this typing in this way in one other video, but I honestly can't remember which because I have played a whole bunch of FireRed lately. It's the exact same route as last time, this time not bypassing Rock Slide and Rock Tunnel, teaching it on our first pass. I still grabbed Return, and now I'm going to grab another copy of TM28 Dig. I'm not going to teach it quite yet, but we'll need it soon enough. I defeat the Rocket Hideout, followed by Erica, then Rival 4 in Pokemon Tower. We find ourselves quickly in Silph Co, grabbing items to sell for vitamins. My vitamin priorities will be protein, followed by iron. I'll use the Carbos that we collect, dumping all of our money into attack and defense. Before heading to the department store though, I quickly shoot up to the Fighting Dojo to clear it out. After buying the vitamins, it's time to cue up some training music. It's the eye of the cobra, it's the thrill of the grind rising up. to levels that are higher. And the best part is that we need all of these EVs, mostly attack and defense with a bit of speed. I'm also grabbing the hidden items, defeating the bird catchers on the south end, and making sure to snag both trainers with the Arboks and Sandslashes in Koga's gym. I then defeat Koga, and our extra levels make Rival 5 a cakewalk, and then Sabrina falls, netting us our 6th badge. We were losing a little bit of time to grinding, but because of the resets we've avoided, we're now 53 seconds ahead of last run. But we are not done grinding. Now with Lapras in hand, I quickly fly back to Fuchsia to get strength from the Warden and grab the rare candy here. I'm going to need them all. Even after clearing all of the trainers in Blaine's gym as well, we enter the battle at level 54, only one higher than last time. My moveset through the mid-game has been Return, Dig, Rock Slide, and Giga Drain, but I've just recently found Hidden Power. I replaced Rock Slide with it because I've gone with HP Rock for Arbok. With 5 less power but 10% more accuracy and 5 more PP, this felt like the absolute best choice for Arbok. We shred Blaine's first 3 Pokemon, but his Ace Arcanine gives us some trouble. All of that grinding has made this battle more consistent, but not a guaranteed win, as his Arcanine puts out just too much damage for us to survive. Both of his Fire Blasts did 66 damage, but I have no idea if that's on the low or high end of things. He gets the better of us one more time, and then this battle happens. We come in with the exact same amount of health, 132, and Arcanine hits a stab critical Fire Blast for 131 damage, leaving us at 1 HP, and he gets the burn. Thank you, Army of Meowths, for that Rostberry, as it triggers saving us. I should note that at level 55 against Arcanine, there is a chance to 2-shot, but not a high one. We miss the 2-shot, but Arcanine misses Fire Blast. Blaine heals up on the next turn, but we get a crit, bypassing our -2 attack and blow Arcanine out of the water. We're victorious, but I'm pretty sure that Arbok forgot a piece of itself over there as we limped away from that win. Wait, how does a snake limp? Shuffle? I then defeat Giovanni and Rival 6 without issue. We're now level 60, and those extra levels definitely make those battles easier. I have continued grinding, not really doing anything in the Sevi Islands, but clearing out all of the trainers in Giovanni's gym. We're not done yet either, as I plan to clear every trainer in Victory Road. As is the case most of the time, the lion's share of time saved comes with having a plan for the late game and grinding more earlier to get there. With the high level that both of these runs will need to achieve, they both need to essentially clear every trainer that exists in Kanto from Cycling Road to Indigo Plateau. I then make a small detour, clearing one last trainer on Route 15, leveling us to 67, and our final stop is here, grabbing Substitute. Yes, that one Meowth has fainted. I accidentally walked in front of a double battle in Victory Road. Please don't say, "Rule breach, run over, disqualified." Arbok flies over to the league, ready to go at 1 hour, 19 minutes, and 2 seconds, only 3 minutes and 20 seconds faster than last run, but we're done grinding. Before tackling the leagues, let's quickly run through Seviper's second playthrough. First change was again to our nature, this time leaning into our special attack with Modest decreasing our attack. Okay, so this is going to be a hot topic of debate. I have no idea if I made the right call here. This is the best that I could figure out at the time, and it's still quite painful. Honestly though, even at 90 base attack, it's still higher than Arbok's. I didn't mention it, but my egg moves have also remained the same, Poison Tail for Arbok and Body Slam for Seviper. The only routing change was an accidental one. See, I meant to enter the menu here and press down 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 A to save, but instead I missed my menu input and fought Camper Liam. Whoops. Well, at least at level 11 Brock is even easier, so let's just move on. Yeah, we crit the Geodude and it was over before it began. Amazingly, even 1 second faster than last time. On the way through Mount Moon, I make sure to grab the Dome Fossil again. Oh yeah, we're bringing the Dome all the way home today. Alright, caught that super risky and awesome shot. Let's get that rappel back on. Ah, still filming. I then defeat Rival 2, Misty for badge number 2, Rival 3 on the SSN, and we face down Lieutenant Surge. Against Surge though, we do get a bad battle. We carve through his early team, making it to Raichu in good shape, but then he scores a crit, knocking us down to 10 HP. Our berry activates, but it's inconsequential as he outspeeds and finishes the battle. But we do better on the second time. We snag our third badge and we're ready to move into the mid-game. Seviper has actually lost a little bit of time, falling 1 minute and 41 seconds behind last run, but we do also have an army of Meowths at our back now. Absolutely everything is the same as last run. Seviper is actually incredibly powerful in this section of the game, tearing through opponents like a fang through butter. I clear the hideout, and on the way to Erica's gym, I make sure to grab that coin case. I'll mention that in these second playthroughs, I had considered Iron Tail for both Pokemon, but it was really only for that Tyranitar, and Earthquake is just plain better if we're using our physical attack. I defeat Erica, then Rival 4 in Pokemon Tower, and then its item collection in Silph. This is where Seviper's route will diverge from Arbok's. Arbok wanted attack and defense EVs all day long, and though Seviper does want defense, we want special attack and speed more, particularly special attack. I buy all of the calciums that I think we can use, only a few carbos, putting the rest of my money into iron. We need it all. The plan is to skip the trainers on Cycling Road, defeat the Bird Capers in the south, and then clear Koga's gym, hoping to avoid the Arbok Sandslash trainers that were so good in Arbok's run. I then defeat Koga, Rival 5 in Silph, and finally Sabrina after defeating all of the trainers in her gym. It's time for Seviper to enter its second long grinding session of the game. 'Cause we got high needs for our level, doing all we can to optimize our EVs. I didn't have a clue last time, but now it's planned. Yeah, we need a high level. As we start approaching the end of the game too, I'd like you to try and guess my hidden power typing for Seviper. Remember, I did use HP Ice to solve the last run. Do you think I used it again? After 12 minutes of straight grinding, and yes, that was the shorter of the grinds, starting with Blaine's gym and then carving down Cycling Road, part of Route 15, and the Fighting Dojo last, as I only care now about XP density, we enter the battle at level 55. I've had the black glasses equipped since picking them up in the Rocket Hideout, even keeping them here over the Rostberry. We make it to Arcanine in good shape, around 2/3 health. We don't have the damage for a one-shot, but his Fire Blast falls short and we finish him on the next turn. I'll be making sure to save here in case Weezing wants to go boom again. Ha, one-shot, sucker. It's the same grinding that Arbok did, defeating every trainer in Giovanni's gym while not doing much in the Sevi Islands. Rival 6 falls, and then it's time for Seviper to clear the entirety of Victory Road. Seviper completes his pre-league preparations, entering the doors at 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 44 seconds. This places him 7.5 minutes ahead of last run and over 4 minutes ahead of Arbok. But, Seviper has more grinding to do. Like, a lot more. In fact, so much that despite my best efforts to reduce our finish level, we're going to need to grind all the way to level 75. We've about tapped out the entire region, and I can't think of a Versus Seeker location that has more XP density than the league itself, so let's start grinding. Because this league was so hard fought last run, I do want to show the first victories I have against each league member while I grind. No intros or anything fancy because I'm just grinding. I'm not saving or really using any recovery items, simply mashing my face against the league until I faint, and then run right back in and do it again. Our moveset is what it will be for the remainder of the game: Crunch, Flamethrower, Hidden Power, and Giga Drain. I won't confirm what the typing is quite yet, but I'm using it here against Lorelei for some super effective damage. This battle is quite straightforward for us, with our only real trouble spot being against Jinx when we miss the range. This battle is only going to become easier and faster over the next several minutes. In case you're wondering, yes, every time we faint, I am incrementing the reset counter. The first part of the grind is challenging, but it gets easier and easier. We first defeat Bruno at level 66, though it was possible at 65. I don't even bother healing after Lorelei, simply recovering using Giga Drain against his 2 Onyxuses. Then it's just kind of spamming Flamethrower until things faint. Round 1 Bruno really isn't that threatening. It's in round 2, where 4 out of 5 of his Pokemon have Earthquake, that we have a problem. Making it through Bruno is incredibly good news for the speed of this grind though. Agatha is almost a total wash for us, dealing massive damage to her ghost with Crunch, with Flamethrower for Arbok, and switching to Hidden Power for Golbat. Do you know what it is now? Because we can defeat the majority of Agatha's team fairly easily every time we make it to her, it's a quick 9,731 experience. The reason that we have to do all of this grinding though is the next trainer. Lance is a big problem in both of these leagues. He's not as much of a problem as that champion was though, so I had to figure out Lance using the moveset that I planned for the champion. As Gyarados falls and Aerodactyl takes a super effective hit, yes, I'm using HP Electric. Strange choice? Maybe, but it gives me a round 2 champion battle that doesn't require level 100. We'll get there though. The big problem with Lance is his Ace Dragonite. He does so much damage and is so bulky that even if we defeat him, the 2 Dragonairs in the back would finish us off. So, having started this grind at 3 resets and about an hour and 15 minutes, let's jump to the end. I pushed as far into the league as I could for a total of 10 passes, finally leveling to 75 when Lance's Ace starts becoming a more consistent 3-shot. But it's still not perfect. We take down Gyarados and Aerodactyl in 1, with Aerodactyl still outspeeding us, but check out how badly this Ace Dragonite still hurts. He takes us from nearly full HP to a quarter in 2 shots. We miss the range, but after he heals, we get the special defense drop and can take him out, but we're in rough shape. Dragonair 1 wants to safeguard, fine by me. I can't one-shot them, but after he heals, a Crunch Giga Drain combo finishes. I'll take any health that I can get back right now. The second paralyzes us, come on Shedskin. We don't get it, but he doesn't quite have the damage to take us out with Outrage. We aren't fully paralyzed and can finally take down the Dragon Master. I am so ready to take on the champion and be out of round 1. Good news about this champion battle. With the levels that we needed for Lance, we can, including a crit against Arcanine, one-shot his entire team. Well, that's about as anticlimactic as a final battle gets. Yep, HP Electric zaps Pidgeot, Crunch chews through Alakazam, Giga Drain sucks Rhydon dry, HP Electric zaps Gyarados but harder, and then that crit Crunch noms down on Arcanine with a final super effective flamethrower torching Venusaur. Yes, your reign is over. Alright, well that grind was awful. The fluctuating growth rate really held us back here, but all of this was in preparation for round 2. But first, Seviper clocks in with a round 1 time of 1 hour, 40 minutes, and 11 seconds at level 76 with 13 resets. This took 6 hours and 22 minutes of game time. Good news for Arbok though is that we have absolutely 0 grinding left to do. We're a good few minutes behind entering the league, but we're ready to smash this thing. Kind of. HP Rock takes down her first 2, then against Slowbro I chuck up a quick substitute. This was for safety, as there were quite a few times that Slowbro opened with Yawn here. We took some unnecessary damage there, but we're continuing through the battle well enough until Lapras gets a freeze with Ice Beam. We remain frozen as she hits a Stab Surf, taking us down to 4 HP. Oh, thank you, Shedskin, as it activates, literally saving our skin. We take out Lapras, and then HP Rock finishes Jinx in the back. I used too many Giga Drains healing against Agatha, so I don't have enough left for Bruno. We have a backup though in Earthquake. Our moveset is HP Rock, Earthquake, Giga Drain, and Substitute. Hitmonchan comes out and totally trips me up, using Counter and taking us down. He actually used it because we just spammed Earthquake against Onix. I knew about that AR quirk too, gah! I use an Ether on Giga Drain, making it back to Hitmonchan at full health. This time, because I was using Giga Drain instead of Earthquake, he goes for Rock Tomb to try and reduce my speed, but I throw up a decoy instead. Nah. Behind the decoy, I can start taking down his team one by one. Machamp ends up breaking our decoy and getting a crit with Cross Chop, but since we resist it, there's no real danger. Next! Substitute nullifies a lot of the random threat that Agatha poses. Substitute sacrifices a quarter of your health to put up a decoy with an equivalent amount of health to what you sacrificed. The decoy will absorb damage and, more importantly, status moves, with none of it rolling over to our Pokémon so long as the decoy stands. I get behind one and start bashing my way through her team with HP Rock until I hit a problem. Whoops, out of PP, except for Earthquake after missing the one-shot against Golbat by a sliver. Ugh, fine, reset. I then miss the range again, but that Ether on HP Rock sure helped. Get out of here, and we switch to Earthquake to finish her Arbok. We level up to 69, nice, and it's time to challenge the big bad Dragon Master. Before entering the battle, I used 9 rare candies, bringing Arbok to level 78. This is the same level that we beat him at in the first run, but one thing I didn't account for when choosing HP Rock was that we would no longer be flinching our opponents, which ended up costing me a couple of wins in, let's say, RNG favorable situations. Ugh, I'm out of PP again. Right, 1 elixir later and you saw nothing. I have a very specific turn order to play out here. I lead with HP Rock, hitting Gyarados under half while he retaliates with Dragon Rage. That's typical, but I would have preferred Bite. I then set up a decoy and take him out on the next turn. The decoy was for Aerodactyl. At around level 75, our speed became high enough that he starts prioritizing using Scary Face, which is blocked by the decoy. Keeping our speed intact is critical. We slog it out against the Ace Dragonite, but it goes as well as could be expected, taking him down at 119 health but exposed. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to spam Earthquake and hope really quickly. And we got through it. Paralyzed and at less than 20% health, but we did it. It's time for the round 1 champion. I drop a decoy right away, immediately avoiding Sand Attack. Sub, strats, best, strats. Oh yeah, HP Rock misses the one-shot, but Pidgeot just keeps using Sand Attack, so I win. Alakazam and Rhydon then fall in quick succession, but I had to make sure to keep this decoy active for Gyarados. Or Arcanine really, we just wanted to avoid one of those Intimidates. Otherwise things can get a little less fun. We do get the perfect circumstances here though, taking out Gyarados and Arcanine with our decoy intact as the Ace Venusaur comes out. Our Earthquakes deal around half, so once we navigate that Citrus Berry and a Synthesis or two, we can take them down for the victory. As we begin to shift gears heading towards the round 2 leagues, it's time to see if all of my planning is going to come together, or not. Arbok clocks in with a round 1 time of 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 7 seconds at level 79 with 4 resets. This took 5 hours and 16 minutes of game time. Now let's jump straight into these round 2 leagues. Lorelei kicks us off. She got the better of me once because I misclicked against Piloswine and he took me out with Earthquake. Without the misclick though, we can use HP Rock to work through Lorelei's entire team. We're starting the league at the same level as last time, level 85, but now I've deleted Giga Drain for our final moveset of HP Rock, Earthquake, Sludge Bomb, and Substitute. Those PP issues in the last league should never have happened as I had 6 PP ups sitting in my bag. One day I will be good at this game. I switched to Earthquake for Piloswine, tanking one of his, and that's about the battle. Cloister falls and we're ready for round 2 Bruno. For the snakes, we sure are going to be talking about Bruno. His team is more physically inclined with all of the Earthquakes. I set up a decoy early, but have to set up a new one when it gets shattered by Earthquake. The goal is to avoid Rock Tombs and hopefully enough damage to survive his team. Sludge Bomb does work against his fighting types while Earthquakes take 2 for each of his Steelixuses. In this first battle, we get too many Earthquakes thrown at us and reset. Keeping the decoy up from a champ though changes things. He breaks it right away, but that guarded us from enough damage that we'll be able to tank Steelix's Earthquake this time. We then wind up with the final Sludge Bomb for Hitmonchan, taking him down in a single shot. Good game, Bruno. Let's take on Agatha. The strategy for her remains the same as in round 1, set up a decoy and pummel her with HP Rock. She does cause 2 resets because when she gets to spamming Psychic, there isn't a thing that I can do to save myself. Hiding behind a decoy, HP Rock handles her entire team, switching to Earthquake for Arbok. I guess I used Sludge Bomb against Mischievous too, but that was only for PP management. It didn't really impact anything. Gotta manage your PP. As Crobat falls, we set our sights on the final league member, Lance. Against him, I set up a decoy to avoid paralysis from Gyarados. I then take down his lead in 2 turns with our decoy blocking the Lesser Dragonite's first Earthquake. We don't allow him a second with super effective HP Rock finishing him off. Aerodactyl is out and we just barely have the speed to go first. We're sitting at around 211 right now and his speed is 208. It's what we needed to succeed here though, as we only have to take 1 Earthquake from him, avoiding all damage from Kingdra with more Sludge Bombs finishing him off. His Ace Dragonite delivers an absolute beating to us, but you should see the other guy. Sludge Bomb, including the poison that it triggered, takes down Dragonite. We have 1 opponent left to finish in the game, the round 2 champion. I take 2 more resets here, as again, it's not 100% consistent. If Heracross spams Earthquake, it's over. But when he decides to throw in some Rock Tombs, we're in good shape. I can work my way through his first 3 Pokemon with relative ease, slowly recovering the damage we took from Heracross. I needed the decoy up for Gyarados as once again I'm avoiding Intimidates. We make it to his Ace Venusaur back at around 80% health. I can then take him out with an Earthquake Sludge Bomb combo while he sets up the Sun. It doesn't last long though as Tyranitar enters the battle creating a Sandstorm. I can use a super effective Earthquake against him while he breaks our decoy, but that leaves me with more than enough health to handle Arcanine in the back. Intimidate me all you want, my friend, you are not surviving 2 Earthquakes. Yeah, I have it too. Did I get a little bitter there? I think my face might have actually puckered a little. What a league for Arbok though, well done. Arbok clocks in with a round 2 time of 1 hour, 48 minutes, and 31 seconds at level 88 with 10 resets. This took 6 hours and 22 minutes of game time. Let's jump back to the start at Lorelei and see how Seviper does. I ended up picking 3 rare candies up from my Meowths, 1 more than I was banking on, so that changed my routing ever so slightly for the round 2 league. Instead of doing a touch of training before Lorelei and then using my rare candies after defeating her, I use every rare candy that we've collected, a total of 16 to bring us to level 93 at the start of the league. Between HP Electric, Giga Drain, and Crunch, Lorelei didn't stand a chance, but Bruno on the other hand... Psych, we're level 93. Flamethrower's pretty much just barbecue Bruno's entire team without any questions asked. I do want to mention that we get 2 burns in this battle. The first is against Hitmonlee, saving us from a bunch of damage from Earthquake, which we needed because we also burn Machamp. But Machamp has guts, so not only does the burn not cut his attack, he's doing 150% more damage, and we still survive. Those Lance and Champion battles hard counter us so badly. I switched to Giga Drain for some safety against Hitmonchan, but we're done here. Did I hear someone say Agatha? Admittedly, I'm getting a little low on things to discuss in these first 3 league battles, so, Crunch Crunch Flamethrower, Crunch Crunch HP Electric, we win. I mean, not the race, mind you. All of that additional league grinding cost Seviper a lot of time, and we're already 5 minutes beyond Arbok's finish time. But with a completion time of around 3.5 hours last time, do you think that it's even possible to beat it under 2? Crobat falls, and it's time for us to face the real challenges. I reset twice here because his Lesser Dragonite crit twice with Earthquake. Yeah, that's all it takes to ruin our chances in this battle. One thing going wrong. We can take down his lead Gyarados in a single shot with 4 times super effective HP Electric. Level 93 does give us a 2-shot range against the Lesser Dragonite, but we miss it again and he misses a Hyper Beam. Along with 2 special defense drops, he falls shortly after. Aerodactyl is out next, outspeeding and hitting Earthquake for about half of our health. Yes, even at this level, with 132 speed EVs, we're still slower. With him out of the way though, I can recover a bit against Kingdra with Giga Drain. He's setting up Dragon Dances like a madman, but then just goes for Surf for not much damage. His Ace Dragonite locks himself into Outrage for 3 turns, so I can take down the Dragon Doctoral. We have less than 5 minutes to deal with this champion for a sub 2-hour finish. Can we do it? I tried so many things against this champion. In fact, the time it took to solve this run, combined with how much that I wanted to say about both runs, has put me behind in my production again. But, you know, I love you guys, so I just needed to pull an all-nighter to catch back up. It's 4 AM as I'm writing this. I tried every combination of hidden power and moveset focused around special attack that I could think of, and then when that failed, I tried to copy exactly what Arbok did. Like, even to the point to editing his EVs to match Arbok's to really lean in on that physical focus. It still wasn't consistent though, even at level 100. This moveset was the best that I could come up with, and as you've watched the last 4 Pokemon melt away to one-shots, what's the deal, man? Tyranitar. Tyranitar defined this entire route. Even a physical set with HP Fighting did not take him down in 1 after the Intimidate from Gyarados. That set opened up way too many problems in other places of the game too. This was just purely brutal to solve. Giga Drain is our savior though, as even though Tyranitar can knock us below half in a single shot, So can we, and Giga Drain heals us up a little bit for Arcanine in the back. Well, he's a two-shot no matter what, and his overheat extreme speed combination ended every single option that didn't include Giga Drain. We get the crit here, so that battle looked way easier than it actually was. I cannot impress how badly that battle and this entire run broke my brain. You all saw that round 2 champion in the first playthrough. And yeah, like I was gonna fall back on double team? Yeah, right. Seviper clocks in with a sub 2 hour time of 1 hour, 56 minutes, and 28 seconds at level 94 with 15 resets. This took 7 hours and 22 minutes of game time. We'll start by exploring each Pokemon's individual results before comparing the race results. Arbok started gaining time right away, then losing it to catching our Meowth army. We continued to lose throughout the mid-game, mostly due to how much more grinding we were doing. By Sabrina though, we've made up time, getting over 12.5 minutes ahead by the end of the gym challenge, including all of the grinding. We lose a big part of that lead heading into the league 3 minutes and 20 seconds faster, but ending it 35 minutes and 19 seconds faster. It seems I was a little bit slower in round 2 this time though, losing a little bit of time and ending with a total time save of 34 minutes and 7 seconds, 2 levels lower with 32 less resets. It also took 49 minutes less game time. Arbok was an incredibly solid Pokemon, all things considered. I wasn't dreading solving it like I was Seviper. Seviper took a little more work to solve, to say the least. Nagana played so well in the first playthrough through the gym challenge that there wasn't much to gain, mostly losing time until the Blaine split, but remember that we did have those 2 nasty resets in the first run. We entered the league 7.5 minutes faster, but with all of that grinding, we only gain another 20 seconds in it. But it was all worth it, as at the end of round 2, we saved an incredible 1 hour, 29 minutes, and 9 seconds, 6 levels lower, with 105 less resets, 39 minutes less game time too. That sub 2 hour mark was more than I thought we would achieve, so all credit to Seviper. Comparing the two, Seviper absolutely dominated the early and mid games with superior damage and move choice, but that fluctuating growth rate and Arbok's steady increase in power meant that once we started shifting towards the late game, so did the split shift to Arbok. Seviper loses the race today, but only by 8 minutes. It's such a shame too, because Seviper was confoundingly strong. I'd never considered it strong, but this run really surprised me. That round 2 league though, full of earthquakes, does not a happy snake make. On the tier list, this places Arbok between Politoed and Persian, with Seviper landing just ahead of Magneton, finishing only 21 seconds faster. This E tier is getting pretty full of Pokemon that are actually pretty good, but not well suited to running FireRed solo it seems. I want to take a quick moment to thank those of you generous enough to support the channel through YouTube memberships, Patreon, and through Super Chat. You make this content possible and keep me motivated to continue working hard to bring you the next video. From the bottom of my shell, thank you so much. And thank you to all of you that have made it to the end of the video. I have to apologize if you heard random cat noises in this one. This guy had so much to say this week, and no matter how much I loved him and played with him or even fed him, he just kept wanting more of me, even when my girlfriend was running interference. At a certain point, I just had to keep recording. Aw, little dude, you're the best. I have a goal of hitting 5,000 subs before 2024, and if you're still here, thank you for helping me achieve that goal. Every like, comment, subscription, and minute watched of my content helps so much. If you feel like I've earned it, consider leaving one, or all of them. It really helps my channel to grow and reinforces my ability to do this long term. As promised, I will be releasing a follow-up video to this one next week exploring Zangoose. All I have to say is, check out what Zangoose learns at level 10. That's why he's not in this video. Also, by the end of this video, I'll have a poll posted for which starter you want me to choose for my first ever Nuzlocke of Pokemon Soul Silver. I plan on beginning to livestream that initial playthrough so that you can all teach me how to Gen 4. I plan on streaming this coming Tuesday, October 10th, so keep your eyes peeled for updates if you want to be a part of that chaos. A great way of keeping up with my content and showing your support to the channel is to make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. After all, sub strats, best strats. Until next time, take care everyone.